And Steve, to that very point, I mean, every political incentive for somebody like a Ron Johnson or a Rand Paul who's up in 2022 and wants the Trumpian base to, vote for them is to go ahead and do this show vote, right? It helps them. You've got, what's his name? Tommy Tuberville, who just won in Alabama, fellow Alabaman with Mo Brooks. He's got 6 years. He can bake for 6 years and do this. So unfortunately, the political incentives say, do this show trial, do this fake vote because it's good for them politically. Is this the kind of thing that ultimately has driven you out of the Republican Party?
Indeed. Look, at the end of the day, there's now one pro-democracy political party in the United States of America, and that's the Democratic Party. And I am a member of that party because of that. I'm a single-issue voter. I believe in American democracy. Look, what happened in the month of November, premeditatedly, deliberately, faith and belief in American democracy was poisoned by President Trump, culminating with 126 members of the House of Representatives and 18 Republican attorney generals signing an amicus brief to a garbage lawsuit that is in essence a declaration of repudiation of American democracy. Do not look at their signing on to that amicus brief as some type of legal action. It was not. It was a political declaration. And the political declaration was one in where they turned their backs on the traditions of American democracy. And we should understand what we're looking at. We should understand what we saw in Washington, D.C. this weekend. This was fascistic, political, right-wing extremist violence on the streets of the nation's capital. We've seen in this country our cities burn. We've seen the rage that rises up from injustice and people who feel they have nothing burning down the property of people that they feel have something. It's not right. I don't approve of it. But this was different type of violence than that type of violence this weekend. This was an assertion of right-wing political violence incited by the President of the United States. If we saw that in the 1930s in Italy or Germany, we would recognize it. They would have been wearing black and brown uniforms. We're at a dangerous hour in this country, and what it means is that there's a coalition that now exists that didn't exist in the past, but it's a pro-democracy coalition, and it has people on the left, in the center, some on the right, who believe still that the people in this country are sovereign, that we're a nation of the people, by the people, for the people, and the people decide who our leaders are. The leaders don't decide how long they get to serve. We decide. And so we now have a fundamental question in this country that's going to play out over many, many years ahead. And I'm very worried about it. And what I believe is the pro-democracy side of this coalition can never again lose a presidential election to the pro-autocracy side, because we may not have another election after that one. This played out as a farce, mostly over the month of November, except for the actual poisoning of the polity. It was a joke in a lot of ways, but it was a coup. It was a failed coup. And the way you get to a second coup in most countries is by having your first unsuccessful one. This is shameful conduct, dangerous conduct, and the country is in a dangerous hour, and unlike one we have ever been in before, because of the seditious activities of these Republican attorney generals and members of the House.